Hey guys, this is Jason
This
Douglas.
is Adam MacArthur, voice of Yuji Itadori.
This is Derek Snow, the voice of Shinra Kusakabe.
This is Phil Parsons, voice of Kenny the Ripper Ackerman.
It's Merc New One. You're watching Voice of the Heroes. Take it away, Flea Boy.
What's good, everybody? You know who it is and what it is. And if you don't, it's the one and only one, Flea Boy Jetson, your host to the Voice of the Heroes podcast. So if you're new to the channel, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, click that notification bell so you don't miss any interviews or discussions with your favorite heroes and villains across the world. And today, we are shining our spotlight on a very special guest. You may have heard him in games like Devil May Cry 5, Final Fantasy, Tower of Fantasy, the WWE 2K series, 2K23 and 24, Cyberpunk 2077, Spider-Man 2, Black Ops 6, and of course, he is the voice for Winter Soldier in the new phenomenon Marvel Rivals. Let's welcome Eliah Mountjoy. How you doing today?
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming. Well, let's get straight into it. Let's talk a little bit about Winter Soldier and how did you get the role of Winter Soldier?
Oh man, I got the role of Winter Soldier the way I pretty much got all my other roles, which was getting an audition from my agent. And
did you know what you
auditioning
was
for that.
auditioning for when you got the
No.
audition?
No, not at all. I mean,
when did you get a hint?
I think it was the first session. The first session, that was years ago now. It was a while ago. And they had me come in and I think maybe they were testing for the voice because they're trying to figure out who's going to be what voice. And, you start pulling together the Marvel universe. There's a lot of loose ends you got to tie together. So at that point, I was still kind of like, I wasn't sure who I was voicing. But there was lots of sessions. So I guess probably in the last year, I was very sure about who I was voicing and what the universe I was voicing it for was. And, but then like really towards these last few sessions, towards the end of last year and the beginning of this last year, like there's a lot of people on the session, like the game developer and the signatory and Marvel and they were telling me that because the game had already kind of gone into beta by that point and people were testing it, and they're like, people are really liking your character. People are like slamming their fist into the ground and going again and again and armed and dangerous. And so I was like, okay, cool. I mean, cool. I've done a lot of video games, so I didn't realize that it was becoming the thing that it's sort of becoming until people started reaching out to me and people from high school being like, oh my God, my kids are playing. Their friends come over and they can't believe that I know the Winter Soldier. So it's been fun, man. It's been a real fun ride, and voicing Winter Soldier has been just an awesome experience.
Yeah, it's become something globally, just a global phenomenon with over 500,000 players average playing daily on Steam. It's just a fantastic game, and your character, Winter Soldier, is a huge fan favorite. Like you said, with Armed and Dangerous, and again, so many memes and so many clips of people just repeatedly just again, and it's just so dope to see, man. Congratulations on the role. Did you happen to see any of the memes? Are you socially active?
Yeah. I'm on the socials, and I've had a bunch of friends send me stuff, and it's fun. They're fun. They're all fun. I just think it's awesome that the community is like vibing with it and clicking in, and it's like becoming a thing. So I'm here for the ride.
Which one was your favorite line?
Oh, somebody was asking me this the other day, and I am a gamer. I love gaming. I grew up gaming. I kind of got back into it again with my brothers through the pandemic when we're all like, what are we going to do? So we fired up the machines again. But I haven't had the chance to dig into Marvel Rivals yet, like I want to. So, so the words, the lines, they're not at the tip of my tongue. They're not at the forefront of my mind. but I do remember the sessions enough to where, I do remember having, there were conversations between the different characters. And I remember one of them, I think I'm talking to Punisher, you know, and it's like, the line is something like, I shouldn't be somebody's role for all the things I've done. I shouldn't be a role model. It was something like that. And I was like, wow, that, this character is pretty, not only self-aware, but like he can read the room, like, who he's talking to. He knows what it is he's done. And this is what I loved about voicing Bucky. He was kind of a different sort of superhero. Obviously, a superhero who is capable of kicking a lot of ass, but has a different emotional EQ and understands suffering, understands being the outcast, understands being sort of the weird one, and that gave a lot of platitude to be able to kind of get into the character and breathe life into this guy. And but we have a lot of different things that I think line up on me and the character Bucky Barnes. Being outcast, being weird, not knowing where you plug in. And for me, that voiceover really became that thing. I kind of was able to find my feet in this part of the entertainment industry. And being a longtime gamer, I'm so happy and so grateful to be in any way a part of the industry, and specifically this game.
Yeah, this is a big game and a big character. Bucky Barnes had, its run as the character in movies, television series, things like that. Marvel likes to work with their voice actors closely. So once you're part of the Marvel family, you never know when you might play the character again. Would you like to return as Bucky in future projects? Maybe another game, a series, television series, something like that?
Oh, I mean, of course, it would be an honor to be able to do that again. Not just because I want to work again, but because I really love voicing this character. Definitely.
That's what's up. Would you like to voice any other Marvel characters? Or when you came across the audition, did you audition for any other characters? Or would you like to audition for any other characters?
I think that I probably incidentally did audition for some of the other characters. I'm sure that probably happened.
You remember any ones?
I don't remember which ones though, because I'm not even sure I remember, doing Winter Soldier, right?
Mm.
But I mean, I would I grew up just loving comic books and loving the superhero universe.
What was some of your favorite series in comic books growing up, or characters?
Oh man, well, I was telling a friend the other day, Spider-Man was my first. It was my very first. I was like 4 or 5, and when I was very little, I had to get tubes in my ears because I kept having repeated infections. And this is when they would put tubes in your ears, and they had to put me under for that. I don't remember that experience at all, but I do remember kind of coming out and still being in the hospital and having a dream that Spidey came in to rescue me. Like he came in whipping, and scooped me out of there. So, I mean, from very, very young, from before I was even really aware and conscious of it, I was having dreams about superheroes coming and saving me. But that moved on to, I was a huge Superman fan, and it kind of progressed. And as I got towards my teen years, I really loved Venom. I got super into Venom. I really loved Moon Knight. And I got into and when the X-Men came out, X-Men and DP7.
You like a lot of anti-heroes, man.
Yeah, that's right. That's
like
right.
The badasses.
I never was Captain America. Like Brian Bloom. He's just got the perfect wants to be the leader, wants to be in the center, wants to pull people together. That was never me. I was always kind of also, aside from feeling like an outcast, kind of have a dark streak, a macabre line, and that happens to be Bucky. While I would love to, voice some of these other ones, I'm probably just not right for it. I somehow got lucky falling into Winter Soldier's lap, where um, the sound of my voice, my psychological makeup, all those things just kind of aligned in a way that made it the right fit. And man, am I lucky about that? Am I so happy that that happened? Because the other cool thing about him is, he's not other than the amazing work that Sebastian Stan did in the movies. Um, he wasn't that much in the lexicon of pop culture, like Spidey, like Cap, like Venom, like any of the X-Men. I mean, we've had a lot of exposure to them, right? So look at Iron Man. I mean, that is RDJ, right?
Yeah.
And Josh Keaton like does a great RDJ, and so he's the guy. But it's like, what does Winter Soldier sound like? What does he do? What's it sound like when he gets loud? What's it sound like when he gets pissed? What's it sound like when he's ruminating about who he is and what he's done or where he's come from or what, it's like it's kind of largely unknown. And that was a really cool aspect of playing this character for sure.
Also, man, if you're not playing Marvel Rivals right now, what are you doing with yourself? It's free to download. Get into the experience. It's one of the best games on the market right now. Go ahead, try out my guy, Winter Soldier. All right, let's move on to WW2K. You was in the last two series, 2K23 and also 2K24. 2K25 is around the corner. They're already doing trailers for it, things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could talk if you're in this one again or not, but they're doing something different with the social aspect of the game and bringing elements into 2K20. I mean, NBA 2K, where you have your my career type thing, but they're putting those elements into WWE 2K now. I was wondering if you knew anything about that or the new game mode, and if you was in this one.
I played Gabriel Slade, and that was awesome experience. And but I am not allowed to talk about any of those questions you've asked me. I would love to be able to, but I'm not. I've signed an NDA, and they're gonna when it comes out, it will all be revealed. But they do it. I mean, 2K does a great job with specifically sports and that kind of action, and whether it's NBA or wrestling, which is the side that I've been in previously. That's just been awesome. The whole team has been awesome to work with. They were great.
I can't wait to find out. A couple of more months, I believe. We'll be definitely looking for you, man, and looking for the new game mode if there is one. Now you was in Devil May Cry 5, so you've been a part of the franchise. You're kind of familiar with it. They have a new animation series coming out. I believe April 3rd, 2025. I was wondering what's your take on it, and will you be watching it?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely a fan. I will be watching it. I have heard about it, and I knew that they were doing it like a whole different kind of thing. And I think I heard that they recast the main players. I think that
Yeah, because they had the animation a long time ago, and of course, the video games and things like that. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Netflix did recast.
yeah. Um, I played Proto Angelo. It's one of the bad guys in that, and that's actually kind of how I got started in voicing characters in games. He was one of the first characters I voiced, and he's just one of those big, like those the big baddies. And I kind of discovered my voice was able to do some of that kind of heavy lifting, and and that got me, I guess that got me a foot in the door. Like I could kind of do that sort of thing. But it really wasn't until some of the later, more recent characters where I'm able to play a full character and have, an arc and range and, different interactions that I really felt like I could sink my teeth into a character and play something. Because Devil May Cry is such a legendary franchise, and it's got so much history and so much story to it, so much lore. You know the characters, and yeah. So I played Proto Angelo, which is like just a big baddie, and it was awesome to be able to play him. But there wasn't a lot of talking from him. It was
Wow, I
like
hope we get to see him
screaming.
in the series. Moving on, right? Let's talk a little bit about Cyberpunk 2077 because you was in that also. They came out with Blade Runner, Cyberpunk Blade Runner, which was a phenomenon. I think it got Anime of the Year. Um,
Yeah,
they're
Edge
doing
Runners.
spin-offs. Would
Yeah.
you like to work on that project?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's one of my favorite projects to have worked on. I
Mm.
played a character named Kurt Hansen in the DLC for Phantom Liberty, and that was one of the first coolest characters I got to play. He really is. When I was in those sessions, they described him as a junkyard guard dog. So he has a lot of growl and a lot of grit, and he's like the leader of the Bargist and that oversees kind of Dogtown, this area in Night City. And that guy was awesome, awesome to play. And Cyberpunk at large has a really, really awesome community of gamers, and that's been one of the most fun, treasured franchises I've had a chance to work in. That's something that I think would translate really well into live action. I think they may be doing that.
Oh, speaking of
Um,
that, out of all these great video games, which one would you like to see turned into a live action
I mean,
that
this
you've
this
been?
one is perfect for it. Yeah, this one's perfect. It's
Phantom
perfect.
Liberty?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Oh, we I wouldn't mind a cyberpunk movie because you know the anime did really well, and I think a live adaptation to that video game would be fantastic as well. Um, Voice acting, right? How did you come about that? And if you was to do a Mount Rushmore, right? Who would be your top four or your Mount Rushmore of voice actors that maybe inspired you or, gave you any type of
Mm,
influence? Because,
yeah.
a lot of times from the experience that I got interviewing voice actors, usually they go through theater, music, something like that, and then jump into acting. And then, voice acting is what they land on. How was that experience for you?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I have a similar trajectory. I studied film in college, and then I got the acting bug because my girlfriend at the time, she was taking theater classes, theater, and uh, and so I started going to a conservatory and studied Shakespeare and Stanislavski and all that kind of stuff. And that was in San Francisco. And realized if I was gonna be serious about this acting thing, I'm gonna have to go to Los Angeles. And then I came down to Los Angeles, started doing some on camera, and joined a band.
Mm.
And so I had this acting background, and then I had all this microphones and equipment and software, and people kept telling me you should be in voiceover. You should get into voiceover. Just from the sound of my voice. Of course, you one of the first things you learn is it's not so much about the sound of your voice as it is what you can do with your voice, and that's of course the acting. So I mean, I took classes for years and years and years and years, and I'll still take them to keep the edge sharp and work in workout groups with friends and peers. It's a challenging modality of acting because you just have your voice. So a shrug, a wink, a side glance, that's all got to come through in the inflection of your voice. That's you got like
Amazing.
one paintbrush, you know. So it's always interesting. It's always involved, and that's one of the things I love about it most.
Yeah, it's amazing, man, because with your instrument of your voice, you're able to make people like myself cry, laugh, smile, be mad as hell if you're a villain. You know you're a good villain when you got the audience hating your guts. Like that's when you know you're like
Right,
great at acting. So,
right.
this platform is to give you your flowers on all the credible work you've done over the years. Love you so much for it. And now let's talk about who maybe influenced or inspired you through that journey.
Yeah.
What's your Mount Rushmore of voice actors?
Well, so when I was very, very young, there was um, a Baskin Rankin, I think is the name of the animation studio who made this, of The Hobbit. And
Mm.
so, Brother Theodore played Gollum. He was this creepy, I think he was Austrian, maybe German. I think he was Austrian voice actor who truly creeped me out with his performance. I mean, obviously I was a very young boy, but oh my God, that guy. That's when I was like, there's a tremendous amount of power, and it was a cartoon. It was just a cartoon, but oh my God, so scary, so scary. So I gotta throw out a Brother Theodore for that, and Daniel Boone did Smog, and I watched those over and over, just being like, wow, they're so cool. So they'd have to be up there on Mount Rushmore. But I mean, Steve Bloom was probably one of the ones who I first really admired
Man, he's a
because
go.
he's in so many games. He
He's
was
a
in all of
go.
the games. Um, and of course, he's in Marvel Rivals, and he does Venom and
Wolverine.
Logan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an extreme honor for me to be part of that because I've looked up to him. There's so many people in Marvel Rivals that I've looked up to for so long. So I definitely feel a huge amount of gratitude being able to be a part of the team in any way. But who else did I really love that was up there? I
I think
think
you got
that
one more.
I guess yeah, I got to make four to make it Mount Rushmore, right?
You got one more.
I think when it comes specifically to voice actors, I'm going to go with Jen Hale. I mean, she's straight down the center because it was the same thing. She was in so many of my treasured games growing up, and it turns out she's also just an awesome person. They always say don't meet your heroes. In this case, it doesn't apply to her. She's actually just awesome, and really, really is uplifting and supporting the community. Voiceover community is generally pretty cool. Most everybody's pretty cool. There's always the exception. Most everybody is really cool. It's not like the on-camera scene where it's a little more cutthroat and sabotagey. But Jen Hale really kind of leads the pack in that way. And
Amazing.
she'd be a major inspiration in terms of getting in and being like, this is what the power behind what you can do with just your voice.
Hey man, I love it. I like it. Let's go, man. Round of applause for that Mount Rushmore. Now, are there any upcoming conventions or projects that you're able to promote or talk about?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I mean, I haven't done any convention work before. Have been invited to go do it, and I've always kind of, especially the last few years, kind of held out, maintained my place in Los Angeles, been like, I think I'm just gonna keep getting better, keep being available for work. But I think that with this Marvel Rivals thing, I think I probably am gonna start making some appearances because it's the demand has been there.
Ah,
People have been reaching out, and
yeah, they definitely want to see Winter Soldier, man. They're
yeah.
gonna tell you to come out, man. And it's gonna be being that there's so many great voice actors. They're gonna be doing Marvel Rival conventions or panels, things like that. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna see you in the near future. Where can people find you at on social media until then?
Oh, my socials are just my name. It's Eliah Mountjoy. That's across. It's on everywhere. I'm not on the TikTok, but I'm everywhere else.
Instagram,
That's my
X,
name.
things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely. So, heroes, villains, don't forget to go like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And also, you can follow him on all social links will be in the description below. Thank you so much for tuning in. And like always, make sure you love yourself, pass that love on, and love others. And if nobody told you so, just know your boy love you. This is another episode of Voice of the Heroes podcast.
Sing it with me, pretty Cali, pretty Cali.